Hello and welcome, everyone. I'm Andy Bryan, and this is the Awaken Your Soul Pathway podcast. Today, I'm here with Peace Ravenwood, who is a very good friend and colleague in many ways as well. But today, we're going to be talking about shamanism, rewilding, and reconnecting with nature. I've known Peace for quite a while now, and she's very much shamanic in the way that she lives her life and the way that she shows up in the world in terms of speaking her truth and really connecting with nature. So I'm actually really excited about having this discussion. I've been meaning to have her on the show for a while, but welcome, Peace. Tell us a bit more about yourself, who you are and what you do before we get started.
Hi, Andy. Thank you for the lovely introduction. So who am I? I am a medicine woman who holds a deep lineage throughout time, as we actually all do. It's just recognizing that we are almost immortal, luminous beings. And that, for me has been the biggest journey in this body that I have experienced to date, is actually realizing and awakening the process of becoming a luminous warrior in this strange third dimensional world. So I live, unfortunately, I live in suburbia for a temporary period of time, but normally you'll find me out in nature pretty much all year round. And we're actually returning to the land at the moment. We're in the process of returning. I'm going up to Aberdeenshire, to the wild landscape, and living much more in connection with our ancestral paths. So, and also recognizing that we are rediscovering ourselves every single day, and every breath that we take, it's a process that continues and never stops from this life to the next. So I do my best to walk the talk all the time, even if that looks messy. It doesn't matter, it's all part of the adventure and the journey together. So for me, living an authentic life is about speaking your truth, no matter how much your voice shakes and how much the ground beneath your feet quakes.
Definitely. And we all know how challenging that can be at times. And I think that's the process of awakening anyway, because, not that any of us are very sort of in our shell, but I think from a conditional aspect, we are taught to be like that in many ways. Very much when we look at our English culture, we're taught to sort of be in our shell, not say too much, and just go with the flow. When we when we reconnect with ourselves, we learn to stand up, be ourselves, be authentically ourselves, and project our voice, out to the world, which is so important.
Take up space with, that amazing projection that we are. Never be fearful of taking up space.
So if we look at shamanism to start off with, and then we move into rewilding and reconnecting with nature, how does shamanism help us to find ourselves and reconnect with the essence of who we are?
Ooh. This is like probably such a deep subject to get your mind around, isn't it? Because that's all it is. It's the mind, the human mindset, that kind of puts these little filters up and barriers to who we truly are. So for myself, we can only but speak from our own experience in life. Walking the medicine path, which is how I term it, is recognizing that we are a work in progress, and that everything happens exactly as it's meant to happen. And remembering the breath is part of living this magical medicine life. We historically forget about our breath. And what I do is I like to look at shamanism or any other form of sacred practice like a breath in and out. It's an inhale and an exhale experience. And it's how we respond to our inner and outer landscape which teaches us the biggest lessons and progresses us along the journey. That's how I find it, and constantly recalibrating where you're at on the medicine wheel, because of the archetypes. We look at archetypes in shamanism, don't we?
Yeah.
So we have like the serpent, the jaguar, the hummingbird, and the eagle. So, and these are all around. I've got a beautiful card here that I'll share with you for the medicine wheel. So you can see the image there of the serpent at 6 o'clock and the eagle at 3 o'clock, and hummingbird at the top at 12, and jaguar.
Beautiful.
Okay,
Beautiful.
so northeast, southwest. And as human experiential beings, we traverse the medicine wheel every day. We go through all those archetypes every single day, flipping backwards and forwards. When we recognize the different elements of the archetypal medicine wheel, that this has been one of the biggest revelations for me on this path, is that there's no bad about that at all. To be able to drop into any one of those 4 archetypes teaches us a lot about how to respond. Most humans react, which is usually explosive or messy or angry or whatever, but it's learning to respond. Even though we can respond with anger, we can respond with passion,
Definitely.
joy, love, whatever. It's the response to an external or internal stimulus, isn't it? So that's where I'm at. I check myself on the wheel where I'm in at any one moment in time when something occurs, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It's almost like checking your watch and going, okay, what's happening now? Oh, all right, I'm serpent right now. Okay, I need to maybe look at that and shift up to jaguar, which is a much higher responding than a serpent, which most of humanity is in serpent most of the time. Base needs, mine, take. It's all about me. Whereas, my answers are not necessarily what you might want, but it's just what occurs to me at the time to speak.
I think that's perfect though. I think, like with all my interviews, people always ask me, do you have a set of questions? Can you send me a set of questions that you want me to ask, or that you'll be asking? And I'm sat there thinking, I never have a set of questions. I connect with what needs to be talked about in many ways. What I feel is coming from source, you could say, or what's coming from what needs to be heard, and that flow comes through, and I see it with your words as well. And I think it's really interesting that you mentioned that medicine wheel and reacting and responding, because I speak about the shadow and I mention it in a few shows as well, but you could say that's the shadow surfacing on a consistent basis in that reactive mode. And how do we learn to respond? And maybe that's the question. How do we learn to respond in a way that we connect with ourselves and we raise our awareness in a place that we can support one another instead of attacking one another, you could say.
Yeah, because it's a human thing to react in a situation, and we've seen that this year really, really clear, people's reactions over responses, because they're in the moment and it's just an explosive thing, blah, blah, blah. Somebody will say something and then it'll be rah instead of, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And not feeling the need to actually say anything. In fact, silence is such a considered response that most people never take. They're too busy to do this immediately. Somebody else goes like this. And when we don't, and we just sit back and go, and we take time, it could take a minute before we respond to anything with words.
Yeah.
What comes out of here then is from the soul essence. It's not from the human ego.
Very true, very true. I can definitely relate to that in so many ways. And I don't want to speak about the pandemic and what's been going on around the world, but we could say that silence does bring us those answers.
Mm-hmm.
And when we find us in a place of ourselves in a place of silence, connect with our soul, then we can allow answers to come to surface. People seem to say, so you've got this belief and ideal about what is going on in the world. Show us evidence, show us information. And I'm sat there thinking, your answers need to be found for yourself. I can't just feed you information. And nobody can feed us information. We have to be, and this goes back to responsive, like you said, we do have to be responsive, don't we? Responsive to what's going on instead of that reactive. Let's, get in tune with ourselves and our soul and really find out what the answer is for us.
Our truth doesn't have to be anybody else's truth at all.
Yeah. So if we look at rewilding, then how would you explain rewilding in terms of connecting with yourself? Because it's an interesting concept. It's connecting with the rawness of who we are in many ways, isn't it?
Very much so. Yes. Yeah. I mean, from my point of view as a rewilding facilitator, and rewilding, like a lot of things, has become a bit of a trendy word to band around. You see it everywhere now. And there's many different elements to rewilding. It can be in relation to letting nature rewild itself. It can be a spiritual rewilding, where you're really in a deep womb process or, whatever. And there is a massive element in the work that I offer of deep spiritual process to become your wild, authentic self again. And where we work is, okay, so we are, as a species, very disconnected from the earth and our landscape, our natural landscape, because we've constructed this concrete digital fakery.
Yeah.
I have quite very strong views about this, as you know.
That's okay.
It is a complete construct that goes against every aspect of who we truly are as sacred, divine beings, creations of the Creator, of Great Spirit. We seem to have diminished ourselves. So you have Creator up here, whoever he is for you, she is, it is what it is. And then we are direct below Creator. We are a creation of the Creator. But why, over our existence, do we consistently diminish that and put us down? It's like going from heaven to hell. And I don't talk about hell as in the satanic form. I talk about it as a spiritual place. Or Dante's Inferno. I mean, that's a massive classic illustration of what we've kind of created on this earth plane is Dante's Inferno.
Yeah.
The fall of the angels too.
Yeah.
If you will. So as creations of the Creator, why do we put ourselves down? Why do we remove our natural existence and cover it over with concrete, with technology, with wanting more, with consuming and secluding ourselves in our own bubble of a box and surrounding ourselves with other boxes that are all ticky-tacky and all the same and all that?
Yeah.
When our natural home, as we know, is in the forest, surrounded by the earth, nature, all the magical nature's law. Nature's universal law is above anything else.
Yeah.
And we've forgotten who we truly are because of our disconnection from nature,
Yeah. And
so
yeah. Sorry, you go ahead. You're in flow there.
So that's where we're going with rewilding with the work, is to become nature again and to be comfortable as a natural being of nature in whatever environment that you currently live in and desire to live in. So relearning all those skills of the laws of nature, which then you take away with you back into your own internal, external environment, And you can literally, it is going back to the medicine wheel again, where you flip between the archetypes every minute of every day. That's where the medicine wheel comes into rewilding as well, is recognizing all these subtle natural laws and the flow, the ebb and flow, the inhale, the exhale of all that ever is, all that ever has been, and all that ever can be. And it's a very easy process. It sounds like, oh my God, I don't even want to go there. It's actually really easy, and we try and demystify that for people.
You know, I know what you mean by when you say it's an easy process, and I can connect with that. But in many ways, and I'm not trying to say that you're wrong at all in any way, but in many ways I can see how difficult it is for people. Because it's not the fact that it's not an easy process. It's the fact that through our human aspect, we seem to make it difficult. Because it's like the ego says, this is how my life is. We've been conditioned to be like this for so many years, or all of my life. How do I go about this rewilding process? How do I actually reconnect with myself and truly disconnect from those constructed beliefs that I have in my mind that this is the way I need to live my life?
Yeah, exactly. And you know, the easiest way of doing it is, next time you go out in nature for a walk, take a bit longer, go quiet, you know, stand regularly and just observe. You know, I teach people how to observe their environment in a different way. It's like, you know, you can put a pair of glasses on like that and you see differently. You take them off and you see differently again. So, and it is a case of, you need to take time, because we're so busy rushing from one reaction to the next, one activity to the next, again because of our generational constructs.
I didn't want to interrupt you here, but
go on.
Something really shone out, like when you put those glasses on. And a lot of people have been speaking about it this year, and I don't wear glasses, luckily enough. But it's like that 2020 vision, which for me is very interesting, and something we could potentially explore for a moment. You know, that 2020 vision is in many ways, we know there's so much going on around the world. We know in many different countries we've been restricted. But you could say this 2020 vision is slowing down, gaining that awareness, and reconnecting with self. And you could say this time of this pandemic is a good time for us to explore ourselves once more, you know.
It's been a real gift for that.
Yeah.
Really gift. You know, the first couple of months was the best months of this year, to be honest. As soon as lockdown hit, massive things changed. You know, it really was very tangible. You know, we're fortunate that we are super sensitive to these things, because we're very aware. We're almost hyper aware, aren't we, when we walk this medicine path? I can't imagine what the silence and the clear skies meant for regular, everyday, I'm surrounded by my tech and my concrete and I love it and I want it never to go away kind of people experienced. You know, I can't begin to imagine what their experience is, because it's been so long ago when I started on this path that it's normal for me to feel these things immediately.
Same with me nowadays.
So it's been a beautiful experience, I'm sure, for a lot of people, as well as a lot of stress and upset and the rest of the reactiveness that's been going on, because that's what it is, it's a reaction, not a response.
What I found was interesting, you know, with the first phase of lockdown, was that people really enjoyed it for let's say for a couple of weeks, you know, not for a long period of time, the general public, you could say. But then it's like their mind slowed down, and they had to reconnect with themselves. And there was a lot of people in that process that was like, I'm getting bored now. I want to be busy because we're keeping our minds busy all the time.
Mm.
And it's like, that is a gift. It's a gift for you to find yourself, slow down, connect. And I remember I did a video a while ago. I'm sure I recorded this video. If I didn't, I meant to record it. I do that sometimes.
Yeah, tell me about it.
And the busyness of our mind consumes us so much that we have no connection with our soul essence. We have no connection with that intuitive aspect. And for me, the only way we can reconnect with our soul and gain that insight and intuition is to actually slow down, isn't it?
It is. I mean, I've experienced this as well this last couple of years, I think, because we were unfortunately, well, I'm very fortunate to have this roof over our head, of course, but it isn't in our chosen environment. And yes, it's temporary, but I have never lived for maybe 20 years surrounded by other people. I've never. And it's become so acute, my response to this environment that we're currently in for the next couple of months left that we've got, how much I feel concreted over, to the point that I'm in pain emotionally and spiritually, not physically, because of that burden of being surrounded 24/7 by the fakery, the not natural. And it has been very, very challenging, to say the least.
Definitely. I find its attack on the senses, our whole, all of our senses, being in these busy environments that are very much condensed energy, aren't they? Like so much condensed energy that we are overwhelmed, and I find it so important for me to, connecting with my spiritual bear, my spirit animal. I need that cave. That cave is so important for me. And if I don't have it, I can feel that overwhelm from the energetic, extremities of the world,
Yeah, totally. I hear you with the bear. Bear is my protector, my safe haven when I'm working, and I wrap that bear around me and bury myself in his fur until I'm ready to come out again. But again, that's been quite challenging to do here. And I get quite emotional about it because it's so very raw for me to be out of my natural hobbit environment.
Yeah. It's beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah. Just counting down the weeks until we're up in Scotland and on the land again and surrounded by trees and lovely people.
Yeah. So now that we've had a brief discussion about rewilding, I think it'd be interesting to look at ceremony, shamanic ceremony, because I know you spoke about the ebb and flows of life, and you've got the moons, you've got the new moon, and then you've got the full moon, and those cycles at which we go through. For me, this is when ceremony is really essential for us, because it allows us to reconnect in a deeper way. And different ceremonies are very different for different purposes, aren't they? But they're a great way to release and let go and rebirth something new. But tell us a bit more about ceremony and how you use it in terms of connecting with others, connecting with yourself, and really stepping into who you are.
Okay, so another huge thing to talk about. Concisely is quite challenging. A very, very simple way, and everything, as you know, follows on. One goes into the next, and that's all part of the weaving of the web. That everything is about connection.
Yeah.
So becoming part of nature, having a sacred awareness of every aspect of life and how you interact with it, whether that's with your work colleagues, your family, your local community, whoever it is for you, even your children, your animals that you are guardian for. It is all a sacred path, and no matter what challenges you come up against, when you choose to walk a sacred path, ceremonies every day, every moment. When you wake up in the morning, it's a case of you give small gratitudes to waking up in the morning. Simple. Going to sleep at the end of the day, you can recalibrate and go, what were the good moments I'm thankful for today? You don't even need to address the bad because you've just let them go by acknowledging the good. So this is where it's a breath in, breath out. So you inhale all that gratitude and connection, and then you're exhaling without even thinking about letting go of the stuff that challenged you that day. And then walking into ceremony looks different for anybody. It can be as simple as just going about the day like that. That is a ceremonial act to oneself, not to anybody else. It's a personal thing. So as we're talking about personal ceremony, there are so many things you can do, and so many amazing teachers. If you need a guide, I work with the plant realm, as you know, very, very deeply, sacred plants, medicine. And so Elliot Cowan's work is somebody that I, immerse in, periodically. His work with, the secret language of plants and plant spirit medicine and all that kind of thing. He's an immense storyteller of how we interact with our world, natural world. Alberto Villoldo, the Four Winds shamanic teachings is really another good one. And there's small things we can do. I love the death arrow ceremony. Have you done that?
I've not actually heard of it before, that one. So tell me a bit more about that process.
So I bring it up because it's really powerful in its simplicity. And the death arrow sound every time, it's like when we work with the oracles and the death card comes up, you go, that's the initial reaction is, oh my God, who's going to die? No, it's not about that. It's about letting things go that no longer served you. So you make space for the good stuff to come in to its place. So a death arrow ceremony, basically all you need is a candle or some form of flame. Indoors is great at the moment because it's candles, very easy, and a little toothpick or skewer, some thin form of burnable wood. And then you're looking at, okay, so what do I need to let go of that is preventing me having this beautiful experiential life? So for example, I get really angry. I'm always angry, for example. So you hold the piece of wood, which I don't have anything here, but I've got a pencil. That'll do, won't it? So you hold your piece of kindling and you breathe into that piece of wood that you're going to burn. The anger. And then you can go through as many things that you want to let go, and you just breathe it all into this one piece of wood. When you feel you're done at this point, because there's going to be times when you can do this over and over again, you set fire to it and then you let it burn out. So you put it in and you burn it, and then that is given back to Creator to be transmuted to the heavenly realm. Beautiful, that is a ceremony.
Beautiful.
It is beautiful, and there's variations on that, but that's a really good starter to do a lot of releasing. And we do this in group as well, so each person would do this from themselves. You imagine sitting around a fire and you've all got your candle, or you're going to put it in the actual fire as a ceremonial act as a group. How powerful that is. Oh my God.
And it's that acknowledgement, isn't it? That acknowledgement of that emotion, because you're looking at this world again, we're taught to suppress and repress those emotions, not acknowledge them. But when we do acknowledge them, there's a beautiful release just in that process. But to go through that process at which you went through is fantastic, just amazing. And the burning is an incredible release as well, isn't it?
Huge. Huge. Fire element is so transformative. And cleansing. If you look at fire and what fire does.
So I wanted to ask you about your cacao ceremonies as well, actually, because I know you do a lot with cacao, and you do a lot with cannabis medicine as well, which is, both of which are fantastic. Tell us a bit more about your cacao and your incredible chocolate.
Okay, so yes, I mean, this is how really that through plant spirit medicine that I came to where we're at today. Moving forwards, cacao was and still is present with me every single day. She has been for over a decade now, since I was introduced to her through I can't remember where now. I think it was Bar of Conscious Chocolate Love Potion #9 that I first experienced
Very cool.
raw chocolate, and it wasn't really much into experimenting with working with chocolate that I started to hear voices. She's nuts. So that was kind of like plant spirit medicine is your awakening process for a lot of people, because it's that interconnectedness with all that is through the plant kingdom.
Yeah.
That is so transformative on every single possible level: physical, emotional, spiritual, whatever. And people just think, oh, it's chocolate. What the heck is chocolate all about? And it's very experiential. You can't just explain it to people. So to have a ceremonial experience working with cacao as plant spirit medicine in the Devic realm, in a beautiful setting where you are held, there's lots of aspects you can bring in. There's no showmanship with it. Yes, I used to think you had to perform and all this kind of rubbish, and it's not about you. It's about what the plant spirit medicine opens up within you.
Yeah.
Because all the plant spirit medicines, we just think of, for example, we think of, oh, maybe ayahuasca. Oh, I'm going to go and, how many times have we heard somebody going, I'm going to go and do some ayahuasca, and I'm like, tell me how that works out for you. Come back and tell me when you've done it.
Yeah. I've never experienced ayahuasca myself, but having discussions with other shamanic practitioners, people that have very connected with shamanism and teachers in their own right, I've said that I've heard that when it comes to ayahuasca and even San Pedro as well, very, very sensitive. We need to do it in a space that is where we're supported, don't we? Very much supported. If we're not doing it in a supportive environment where a shaman can guide us through that process, I personally think it can be quite dangerous, can't it? So
it's incredibly, incredibly dangerous, yes, to the point that we've known people that are no longer in their body anymore because of the lack of care given in ceremony with the ultimate plant spirit teacher, which is Grandmother Aya. But my sort of coming back around from the top to cacao and the other, I don't like to sort of like put them in tiers, if you will. We've had enough of frigging tiers, haven't we?
yeah.
But there is the medicine wheel of plant spirit medicines to work with, and through my own experience of working with plant spirit medicine over a decade, where we're to with ceremony is, okay, we live in the UK.
Mm-hmm.
We have got every plant spirit medicine teacher here in our natural environment that we could ever need to work with. We do not have to go soul searching, or so we think we're soul searching. It's like everybody, they just want outer experiences. They want to fly off to exotic places and experience the culture of that medicine. Why even spend a penny when out in your back garden you've got plants that will teach you a lot? Nettle, for example, powerful plant teacher.
Yeah.
Powerful. You just think, oh, it's a spiky, horrible thing that I've got to get rid of. Why would you do that? Every living plant and animal and tree, everything has got, even rocks, roots, sprouting seeds. They're all carrying immense wisdom that we, unfortunately, again, going back to constructs, societal constructs, have shut ourselves off from.
Yeah.
So we're constantly reaching for the next golden goose egg and all this kind of thing.
Definitely.
So we
Yeah.
bring it right home. The strongest medicine that I advise people working with is cacao, because she's so potent when she's married with the plant teachers in our natural indigenous environment, and they work together. So she works as a vehicle of awareness opening throughout the chakras and the luminous body, to open you up to experience the wisdom, which is very, very quiet, of these plants, until you listen and you go, oh, really? Okay, so this is what you're to. Wow, I didn't know that Daisy was the entryway to a fairy realm. What the? Until you step out of this and into who you are truly, and then you hear the messages that are being waiting to be. They're literally crying out to talk to you.
Yeah. And you could say all of this stuff that you've been speaking about there is all about connecting with our own land, our own ancestry.
Yes.
I've been speaking about wanting to learn a shamanic practice from the natives, and luckily enough I've learned some sort of Celtic traditions as well, which is very, very nice, because it's connecting with our roots more so, rather than just the native shamans, which they're no doubt fantastic. We've got to connect with our own roots as well, though, don't we? Because there's so much wisdom that comes from that, isn't there? So.
Well, this is it. And I think another, something that's just occurred to me with you speaking those words is that it's another thing that we've lost connection with our own ancestry, our own indigeny, in the West and in the UK and Europe. And in that process, a lot of these traditions have now almost but died out. There are, same as the Mayan elders, the Native American elders, they're still there. But they've also become buried under constructs of modernity. Because like yourself, I've been searching for the right Norse teacher. And what's come clear to me is why I am Norse. I am Norse woman. I have it in my bones and my blood and my ancestral DNA already.
Yeah.
So to be able to re-tap into all that you've ever been will give you every lesson and answer that you possibly could need on your spiritual path. Again, we're always looking for other teachers outside of this one.
Yeah. And I say within my work all the time, with the clients I work with, the people that I speak to on a daily basis about connecting with your spiritual journey and soul path. And I even say it within my mentoring. I say, I'll be honest with you up front. I say, you're coming to me because you want answers. And I'd say, I'm really sorry. I'm going to be honest with you right now. I can't give you any answers. But what I can do is help you find those answers within yourself. And for me, that's the best blessing that they want anyway, to be honest.
Exactly. Yeah, we carry a lifetime of experience from our very first incarnation. It's just a case of finding the right key to fit the next doorway that you're presented with. I liken myself to just a how can I say, a doorkeeper, if you will.
Yeah.
I come across all these doorways throughout every time I really connect in, and I go, oh, that's a nice and interesting doorway. What's in there? And let me just go into my tool bag and find the key for that one.
Yeah.
So love it. Yeah, so every ceremony you'll be shown a different doorway, and it's like up leveling every time you hold space for yourself in ceremony, or in those sacred acts, so those sacred walks that you might take in wake time and in dream time. And learning to bring your world into being in dream time is where you see the most doorways, and all your keys are just there. They're on your person. We know that from going into the lower world and journeying and meet with our spirit guides and our medicine people that we meet in the lower world.
Yeah.
How many doorways that we will be shown, and it's up to us whether we go through that. we might not be ready sometimes, and that's cool. So yeah,
Definitely.
show you the doorway, and then it's up to you.
Definitely. And I think we're coming towards the end of the interview now, but
Okay.
another just over 5 minutes would do. But what I think would be interesting to speak about now is just about what we're experiencing in the world and how we can reconnect. How can we reconnect with ourselves? How can we rewild at this time, and really step into who we are, so that we're not bombarded with all this information that obviously we know we are in many ways. But how do we disconnect to reconnect? How do we rewild and find ourselves in these moments, so that we can really live and be, rather than be overwhelmed by what it is that is going on around us?
Ooh, it's huge. It takes courage to say, I'm not walking this life anymore the way that I've been walking it up until this point in time, this year, if you will, because that's been a revelation as to how much input we receive throughout every single day, and how damaging that has actually been when you step out of your own thoughts and look in from an outside point of view as an observer of who you are and what's been going on for you. And then you really see just how impactful that has been. And I mean, I'm a great believer in writing things down that maybe bother me a lot over time. I don't do it very often, but sometimes it's like stock taking, isn't it? Of all the things that are keeping you from being your own unique ancestral expression of the divinity. And it's all outer.
Yeah.
All of it is from the constructed society that we've created for ourselves. And we've all done it. We're all sort of plugged into the matrix in a not so good way. And I think 2020 has shown us how addicted to overwhelm we've become. So when we stop and remove the overwhelming input, we actually don't know who we are for a little while.
Yeah.
But like the first 2 weeks of lockdown, we give ourselves space, and it is all about going quiet. It's going dark, it is literally going dark.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm about to go dark.
That's good though. That's good. Very important.
Freaking scary, Andy, to unplug from the matrix of all that. Well, not all of it, but most of it. It's staging the unplugging.
Yeah.
Until we literally have no need to plug into the matrix at all, i.e. the technological matrix.
Yeah.
And go completely back to our roots, literally, and say no more to any of this external bullshit. Because it is bullshit. When we really step out and look at it, it's stopping us. It's preventing us being the highest potential we could possibly be. We've just got so used to being, I want more, I want more, I want.
Yeah.
We've got so fucking used to this serpent and jaguar.
Yes. Yeah.
I want, it's all mine. Give me more sensual experiences that give me nothing but pleasurable things like cream cakes and, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. And just give it me all. And if you don't give it me, I'm fucking taking it.
Yeah. We all like cream cakes though, don't we? So, a few cream cakes is all right.
Yeah, but there's a limit to how many cakes you can before you get diabetes.
Yeah, no, definitely.
But there is this whole human societal thing that I've really looked outside in this year more than ever, and it's just like I don't fit in this construct anymore. Yeah, and I don't actually want to.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think when we really actually have that courage to disconnect from the matrix,
Mm.
the world at which we've been told that this is how we live our lives, things become so much simpler. We live life with so much joy. You know, we don't need to do all these things. We just need to be. Just be
We
ourselves,
do.
don't we? So
We need to rediscover who Andy is, who Revna Peace is, who Anthony, my husband, is. You know, that's the thing, is who you truly are, and your magnificence shines so powerfully and bright. There is no darkness when you step into that way of being. There's no darkness for you, and if you find darkness, what do? You go and shine a light in it and go, what? I'm going to poke this bear for a bit and see what happens. You know, and then the light comes in and the darkness just fades away, and there's no fear. You transcend all fear when you cease to be told what to do.
definitely.
Because who the flipping heck has the right to tell us we are not allowed to do anything? It is up to our own moral standing, our own individual ethics to self-govern.
Yeah.
That is the truth. That is where you will find the most beauty, is when you self-govern and go, no, you have literally no right to tell me what is truth for me, or me what I am allowed to do. How many times this year have we heard people say, but we're not allowed? What are we, at kindergarten?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Yet that is how most people live their lives, as though they're at school, junior school, infant school, being told that's naughty, don't do that. Does the creator ever tell us what to do? No.
Yeah. Well, it's so true, and it's standing in our power, standing in our strength, and saying, "This is who I am. This is the way that I live my life. I'm not gonna be, harsh towards others. I'm just gonna live in my own way, lovingly, courageously, to support myself, and also to support others, because it is loving and honouring others in the same process, isn't it?
It is, because when we honour and love ourselves and we live nature's law as our guide, we give permission for other people to maybe go, wow, I want what they've got. I want to live my life in authenticity and raw vulnerability that they're doing, because it's a certain level of freedom, free will. Do no harm, do not bring controversy and trespass to anybody else. And as long as it's almost like the threefold law in Wicca: do unto others as thou would be done to.
Yeah.
And cause no harm. And that is pretty much how I live. I don't want to do harm to anybody else. I won't bring controversy, and if I do, I'll offer a remedy for that, to put that right.
Definitely. And I think that is a perfect place to end our discussion today. Although I know we can speak for so much longer. We've ended on it on a knife edge. You could say that has opened up another can of worms to explore something much deeper, which for me is all about connecting with community. And maybe we can have another discussion about that, maybe in a few weeks or months' time, because it'd be great to deepen that discussion there. But what I will say is thank you so much for joining me in this discussion. Before you go, though, please tell me a bit more about where we can find out about yourself, your work, shamanism, rewilding, reconnecting with nature, and the beautiful process of ceremony.
Okay, so there's some changing happening, because I'm unplugging from majority of the mainstream social media at the end of January. So at the end of January, I will not have a Facebook presence at all.
Okay.
I no longer have an Instagram presence. I closed that account because of the horrendous trespass on privacy and usage of our information. It's no longer ours, it's theirs. That's stated in their T&Cs. rosy policy. So I have a website which is peaceravenwood.com.
Okay.
And that's on the thing. And I am creating a Mighty Networks group called the Medicine Path,
Okay.
which will be where all the ceremonial aspects of this journey are held. There's going to be free stuff, and then you'll be able to access courses, retreats, events, and exclusive online ceremonies and things, because we want to be able to reach as many people as possible. And I'd like to have guests come on and hold ceremonies as well, and other offerings of soul. So it's going to be the Medicine Path on the Mighty Networks forum, on Telegram as well. I'm not quite sure how to do links to Telegram, but I think I'm revving a piece of the land.
Okay. Don't worry about the links too much, because all of your links will be below the video anyway. So don't worry about the links too much. If anybody wants to connect with yourself and your work, check out the description on the YouTube video. Or if you're listening to the podcast, because there's an audio podcast as well, hop on over to my website, which is www.awakenyoursoulpathway.co.uk. There'll be links on there to the YouTube video as well, and you can obviously connect with Peace from there as well.
Yes, it's because a short period of time to get through a lot of information, and it is it's beautiful to be able to share again and again and again, and go deeper each time and explore different facets of this amazing life that we're living.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you.
Yeah, I say thank you very much again for joining me. Thank you all for the listeners as well. I hope you found this subject to be valuable and this podcast to be valuable today. I personally feel this is probably one of the most valuable podcasts we can connect to at this moment, as we look at how we reconnect with nature, reconnect with ourselves, and really become a part of it as we step into who we truly are. So thank you again, Peace, for sending your guidance and wisdom for us today. Much love. And I'll see you all again soon. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.
It's also about the masculine coming back into balance.
I had reconciled my mind and my soul.
A world opened up that words cannot describe.
But you have to love yourself. You can only love another to the extent to which you love yourself. That simple yet profound truth.